I don't know if you remember, it'll depend on how old you were and which country you grew up in, but Changing Rooms was a huge hit from the moment it started. When it started on BBC Two, there was 5 million viewers watching it. And then when it moved to BBC One a year later, almost half the people in the UK who were watching television at that time were watching Changing Rooms. That was 13 million viewers. And this is what they were watching. So the reason I'm going on about the impact is not to say, oh, clever me. It's because this was just a revolution in its time. And, you know, it could be a revolution in any business. I mean, wouldn't you want a product with that sort of impact in your business? And wouldn't you want that sort of customer engagement in your business? Well, how could you have that sort of revolutionary idea in your business? Well, I have to tell you that Changing Rooms, the idea of Changing Rooms was not put together by the best minds in the industry, you know, come together to make this amazing hit. It started with me, a young assistant producer with no interest in interior designs, but critically a set of circumstances and collaborators around me that allowed something really revolutionary to happen. And so I want to pass on 4 key principles today that I hope might help you build that same sort of creative environment where something revolutionary can happen. And I have to say, even in creative teams, this environment doesn't necessarily exist. So even if you're already in an innovation team, listen carefully. Back to the story. As my flatmates of the time will tell you, I knew nothing about interior design. I was not interested in interior design. So I had to research it. And I went along to a few houses where interior design was happening. Well, decorating. Those were boring afternoons. And I was just thinking, what on earth is this show going to be? This is so boring. How are we going to make telly out of this? I really couldn't see it at that point. We get on the escalator and Baz is running down the escalator. He's very tall. And I'm trying to catch up, and I'm trying to share with him a deep anxiety of mine. I haven't slept for the last couple of nights. I haven't nailed my show. And I have to say to him, Baz, I just can't work this out. I can't work out the end of the show. How do we judge it? Do we bring in Terence Conran and he, you know, judges it by design? Or do we bring in the neighbours? And is it sort of people that live nearby that judge this show? I don't see how it's going to end. I don't know what the definitive judging is. And I have to say, at this point, I thought I'd failed. I thought I'd admitted to him that I couldn't solve the problem he'd given me. And I hadn't proved myself. I really thought I'd blown it. But what I didn't know was this point was a creative crisis point. And in fact, I had just set off a chain of creative thinking that was going to result in a genius, brand new idea. And it was going to happen in the next 45 minutes before this pitch. And when you want to bring people together creatively, yes, of course, you need really experienced people in the room, but you also need people with almost no experience who have a really fresh perspective, because sometimes that fresh perspective unlocks something that the experienced person had never really connected before. So you have fresh eyes, you have wise minds, but they have equal voices. And in fact, it's really hard to have an idea by yourself. You do need 2 of you there at least, because what happens is our brain saves things all in the same place. So when we learn something new, we put it where we found something else a bit similar. So when you go to that bit in your brain, it all is in the same place, quite hard to get at. But if you ask a question of someone, then they go into their filing cabinet a different way, and it helps them retrieve information in a different way. So sometimes you just have to ask the question. You can call these meetings between the gaps between your business as usual. You don't have to have an innovation team. You can have creative meetings, but you have to be clear that they have a different set of principles to other meetings. Further down the line, you've done your creative thinking, you've had a great idea, and now you're in innovation. So this is a super difficult time. Now you've invested time, money, resources into what you're doing. You're actually trying to come up with something. And so the first thing I'd say is expect it to feel quite hard, because if it wasn't hard, someone would have done it already. It's going to feel quite painful. So expect innovation to be hard. But then, if there's a point where you feel your idea isn't working or something's blocking it, don't despair. Look at it and think, what's it telling you? What's it telling you about the journey? So think of your journey as a longer journey, because this could be your creative crisis point. I hope that I have encouraged you to think about putting creativity into everything that you do at work, and encourage you to see that the value of creativity, is tangible and can boost business success. It's not something done on the edges, it's something that can really change what you do. And it's always been important for businesses and organisations to evolve, but with the pace of change now, to evolve is to survive and to grow. You can't not. And so that's why I think it is so important to find the safe spaces between your business as usual to create those dangerous ideas that are going to fuel a revolution in your business.